Hello, this is Emmanuel from Vermont. Thank you for having me. I hope that this will be helpful. What I'm going to do is look at our approach to investing, review the key design principles, and hopefully give you some ideas, and absolutely feel free to contact me if any of these are intriguing. We're a small state, but hopefully some of these ideas could be, I think they are appropriate to any state if you scale them up. A little bit about the Vermont context. We're very small, of course, up near Canada. 600,000 people, 89,000 students. We have lots of valleys and mountains, so you really can't get here from there. You got to go up the valley and around, so small school might be over the hill by 45 minutes, so collaborations are a little bit more difficult. Small little town, for example, like this, we have programs and schools anywhere from, an average school might be 125 youth up to a school of 1,000, say. As a former director, I really like to think of our whole system as bottom-up and really supporting building a community and having high standards. Language is very important, so I like to talk about 21C as investments, really investing in communities and kids. So I don't like using the word grants at all. A grant is something that comes and goes, so we like to have some language, hopefully, that can help sustainability right from the beginning. And even the acronym or the word 21C can be divisive, particularly with child care centers, or it may bring about certain feelings or thoughts. So I like to use the phrase 21C funded programs. The local programs have names, and 21C is just a funding source. So I've tried to design a holistic system that is unified and complements each other. Things aren't done in isolation. Some of the parts, and I'm happy to talk with folks about these in more detail. We have a unified statewide evaluation plan with goals, indicators, and results, and the field has adopted that, so we're working on the same page. We have reporting that is aligned to that evaluation plan, so we're really trying to be focused in that way. We have a peer review monitoring process where we bring around teams of site directors as well as myself at the state, working collaboratively to look and recycle and evaluate sites at the local level based on that plan. For sites that are in having trouble performing, we have an action plan process where basically they have a year to improve, and I work collaboratively with them to get them back in where they need to be. I think that's a really successful process. Some key other pieces, our programs are run out of schools. They're definitely school-based in Vermont, and partners come in, but definitely school-centered in all of our programs. We have myself at the state level as a full-time person. I've been the coordinator since the beginning, actually, with one other person, so some consistency at that level, and also at our partner level, Holly, who is a former 21C director. We have a great partnership at that level, so we're working in concert with a strong agency and local district support. So I think those are good, important drivers that are supporting the system as a whole. In terms of our investment philosophy, we're really trying to design everything from the ground up with kids at the center and programs underneath that, making sure that we can help them be successful. So that guides everything that we're doing. If you look at our cycle, we have, I'll call it a 10 by 10 cycle. If you think of a decade and work backwards, if we gave a $100,000 investment, they would be getting 100% for the first 3 years, then 75%, 65%, and then 50% for another year, another 5 years. So they're allowed to come back in, and we're really trying to at least give them that much time as a full cycle to build high quality programs, bring them off the funding slowly and appropriately. Our whole focus really on the front end of getting projects going is readiness. So we've identified what we think readiness is. We have a readiness assessment. It's really focused on those core issues that are needed so that when projects are funded, they're ready to go. So strong principal support, appropriate partnerships, etc. We work really hard and we dissuade projects from coming in if they're not ready. The first thing I say in grantee applicant meetings is if the principal is not, well, it's in a positive, the principal sees this program as a core educational strategy, by all means, you're in the right place. Sustainability is building and maintaining high-quality programs. So for continuation awards after 5 years, we look at cash, and it's not a match, but the expectation is that programs will meet sustainability. So that's a huge part of what we do. We see that basically programs in the competitive process can meet that between 40 and 75%. I think one of the key pieces is for the federal funds not to overfund and kind of overwhelm a community. So we try to thread the needle. In Vermont, that's really a $125,000 maximum investment for a single site, and with economies of scale, in the Vermont context, it's with multi-site programs that should look at a funding rate at the front end of $60,000 to $80,000. I think finding that sweet spot is crucial to the system, and I imagine each state is different. But that's a key piece so that we're funding appropriately so the programs have enough money for quality, but it's not too much that they can't sustain it. The other design principle we have in our continuation award process is that we fund to a standard, to a quality standard, not to the total amount available. So the way we've built our process basically is if a program doesn't meet the standard, they're not going to be funded regardless of how much money we have in the pot. Again, partnerships are key. Yet the programs in Vermont are driven by the school, led by the principal. We'll make sure that there are, in the vision and then in the budget, that there are absolutely program funds for high-quality professionals in the community, but equally important, if not more important, program funds to get those best, fabulous licensed teachers to be in the programs as well. So in our continuation review process, we have an iterative process where we fund or do not fund or fund with conditions. And we look at proposals in a lot of depth with a great mixture of reviewers. The way we approach it is we have one pot, so it's open to all communities all the time. Returnees have to, we work from 2 sets of questions. And for the returnees, they have to prove performance, prove sustainability, as I said above, and prove continuous improvement. So if you were to look at our specific RFP, and I'm happy to share that, you would see that they're really precise questions around continuous improvement that the returnees have to prove. Also specific performance questions about their first 5 years for ongoing proof, and specific data points that are put into the proposal. It's not new data they have to put in, but putting and summarizing data from their annual performance reports, which we track and take state-level data each year. A couple of thoughts in that process. So we really work with conditions to really make sure that the program is ready and that they're set up for success. So those conditions are often around structural improvements. So for example, if a proposal comes in, a typical one would be site coordinators that don't have enough hours. So a real typical condition would be, let's make sure we're setting them up for success and we're going to fund them at 20 hours. If they came in for 8, we're going to make it 20 so it can work. Another piece would be maybe the proposal is fabulous, but there's really a particular site that clearly is not ready, and the data is there to support that, or a particular piece of the proposal is not going to work. And so we really empower the committee to make those fine decisions, again, making sure that everything that is proposed and funded is going to work. Another basis for the success in Vermont absolutely is our 30-hour director requirement. We work a lot with these leaders. Many, of course, are full-time, but we want a captain of the ship, so to speak. So that's one of the key pieces of the process. And I'm really proud of the local communities that have brought in, 54% of our total funds and extra cash. And there's really 5 pillars of how they've done that. We have, of course, programs K to 12, but a lot of money from subsidy through the licensing system. These are sort of the $1 million items for Vermont. Lots of money in fees, and we make sure that nobody is turned away for inability to pay. Equity and access is our #1 goal in our statewide plan, of course. Vermont towns have done a fabulous job bringing in local money from their local communities. We have town meetings where programs, and folks go in front of the community to ask for money, and they've been very generous in supporting their after-school programs. Title funds, aligned title funds for tutoring and summer programming is a big part of the mix, and of course partnerships. So that's where the money comes, and it's in cash. This is another important piece. We do not track in kind, but we work this on a cash basis. I know I've gone quickly. I wanted to just, maybe some of these things piqued your interest. I have lots of documents I can share. I'm also happy to talk to you, to answer questions. It's a great way to collaborate and try to make our system better here, so I absolutely encourage anybody to talk to me. I'm happy to share our RFP, our tracking systems, our sustainability spreadsheet where you can see where money's coming from, any of our improvement systems, our action planning systems, any of the things I've mentioned. There's a lot of kind of documentation underneath what I said. So if something kind of appeals to you or you want to chat, feel free. And I appreciate the opportunity to share some information quickly. I know it's really hard in a quick blast. Systems are obviously complicated. But in summary, I've tried to unify a design with all these pieces interacting as kind of a coordinated machine. Try to do that. I think it's worked. And I think it's really it's a bottom-up approach, trying to empower the community to do their thing. So thanks for the opportunity.